Blessings BookTube. Today I'm going to give you a Sunday shout out in honor also of Victober. We're going to be looking at Books and Things, Katie J. Lumsden. She, her. Okay, that's good to know. And she is the author of two widely appreciated novels as well, which have been reviewed by various booktubers. I have not seen anything of them, so I will say that based on what I know of her as a literary analyst, I suspect she would be a great writer, and I would read her novels. Now, let's take a look at her work. 10 years worth of work. So I'm not going to go into too much of the biographical background stuff about her. She did study Victorian literature. You're going to see very quickly that she's mainly focused on Victorian literature and certainly on British literature. However, she just did a Q&A for her 10 years on BookTube. So you can check out that Q&A to learn more about her. So her favorite author is probably Gaskell, I would say. She's not a big fan of George Eliot. I want to really dive into the content with her because she is a great bookish mind on BookTube. She certainly doesn't need my support. She's there at about 35,000 subscribers. But that's not primarily why I'm doing these shout outs. I'd love to help out some folks, but I suspect some of the channels I'll review are actually dead channels. My view is to highlight the content that's out there and get you guys digging into these playlists and backlists, if you will, of their videos and not just relying on your feed because that can get, ugly quick. So I did look at what 10, I want to say, creators YouTube featured on their actual YouTube page where they have a bookish section. And I would say really only a couple of those, maybe 4 or 5, maybe half of them were booktube-ish. 2 were the usual customers. You can guess who they are, Jack and, well, I won't say. I think with respects to Steve Donahue, Katie would be, Books and Things would be one of the sites that I would hold up as a poster child of BookTube. That's how much I appreciate it. And that's why I'm going to dare to make a small critique. I was thinking recently when I did the video about bookstore, what kind of bookstore you would have, and I was talking about intentional community, what makes robust community. And part of it is this ability to, critique each other. And that's super important, obviously in academia where I come from, but I think it's very important in bookish communities, right? And I've had some bad luck with that, especially with some larger creators who are can be very defensive. So I haven't offered much in the way of critique, but I'm gonna try it here, and it is, I promise you, an homage to Books and Things. I wouldn't do it if I wasn't in awe of her. As a matter of fact, there's a ton of what would you call it? Unearned hyperbole on BookTube. I think we could all agree. This is the best I've ever read. This one killed me, whatever you want to say. I would describe Katie's analysis as gushing. I once said to her that I thought if they did a word cloud of her videos, one of the major words that would come out is, I really love, she really loves this stuff. But with her, it doesn't bother me at all because she backs it up with all kinds of deep analysis. Let's look at these playlists she's got here. She's got the Austen soundtracks. Haven't looked at that. It's probably music. Her 10 years, there she is in her Jane Austen 2025. She's going to have a bunch of Austen things, Jane Austen 2024. She's got one of all my Jane Austens. So let's actually work from the back. All right, wrap-ups, tags, and she did NaNoWriMo. Okay, that's interesting. Well, we know she's a writer. Jane Austen week. All right, so she's got to have several Dickens lists. One is called What the Dickens, which she goes through every book. So what Katie's going to offer you is the by the book, by theme, and by author. And what I don't get from a lot of booktubers is that by the book level. So here she does every Dickens book. She's read them all, I think, 3 times except one, which she's only read twice. She probably read them all 4 times by now. That was as of a while ago. Anyway, so she's got she got a video here for every single one of them, and it's just straightforward. What the Dickens, Oliver Twist, What the Dickens, Pickwick Papers. And she doesn't give spoilers, but she doesn't use it as an excuse to not tell you anything about the books. She says a lot about each book. And these are 5-minute videos, so they're great. All right, then we got, you see, jumping up to the next line here, we've already got one to read along, our mutual friend. Okay, so then she's got Jane Austen, Dickens, How to Speak Victorian. This is amazing. So this is her first Victorian set. Later, she's going to get all the way up to basically giving you a course on Victorianism. This one is a literary history, the novelists, the poets, drama, and essays. She's very well read in her area of expertise. She got this fondness for nonlinear books. She's got these and the various narrators, dual narrators, frame narratives, non-chronological. I did watch that some time ago. I don't remember it too well. She got a Bronte week. She's got creative writing, which I haven't watched. Victober. There's going to be lots of Victobers. Then she got 2 weeks of Thomas Hardy. She got good things to say about Thomas Hardy as well. Then here's very meaty series. You can learn so much about literature and how to analyze books and the specific books by doing her not so hypothetical Victorian course, or I guess Victorian dissertations. She was going to do a PhD. What would it be on? So we got industrialization. Here she looks at hard times, North and the South. You got the city. Here she looks at Mary Barton and the Netherworld. Small town. She looks at Cranford and Middlemarch. Rural landscape, she looks at Wuthering Heights, Far from the Maddening Crowd. And money, she looks at Our Mutual Friend and The Way We Live Now. Then we've got 2 weeks of Gaskell. So again, she does the same thing. She basically gives you every single Gaskell book. Poor Clare, Lois the Witch, Lady Ludlow. And again, quite short. These are 5, 6, 8-minute videos. So you can go through all the books, see which ones you might like to read, and learn something interesting about each one of them without being spoiled. You got another Victober, favorites, Dance to Music of Time. Well, she's not totally married to Victorian age, like she does the M. Forrester. Here she does, Dance to Music of Time, a whole series on that. That one I haven't watched. I pretty much just watched all her Victorian stuff, which is already, I don't know how many, 100 hours of watching probably. So then the Barsetshire week I didn't watch because I watched the other week that she did for this author, which was the parliamentary series. Let's see if I can find it. We'll come to it eventually. Excuse me. And then you get to read along of Bleak House. So now we're in 2018. So you see, she's been down here for a long time. So this is another great series. 5 Victorian novels about bad marriages, work, unrequited love, religion, respectability, fallen women, alcohol. She did her dissertation on gender in was it a specific author? Was it just in Victorian literature? I think it might be Jane Austen, gender in Jane Austen, I think it was. I'll give you an example of the kind of analysis that she'll do. She's at one point trying to calculate the age of a character by saying that we think of her as, so old, but she actually can't be that old because the parents kept trying for a boy, so she had to be born, slightly before the mother would no longer have been of childbearing age. Just like really advanced analysis. And I mean, that sounds kind of pedantic, but she got fun, like I said, she's very gushing, very enthusiastic. She's got fun observations, good psychological observations, good literary analysis, nothing too theory-based. She does interesting things like talk about the narrator over the shoulder in such and such a work, things of that nature. Siblings, women who work, governesses, social mobility, non-nuclear families, marriage, ghosts, past, unreliable narrators, writers, spooky country houses, cross-class romance, episodic novels, and illegitimacy. That was a great series. I enjoyed every single one of those. So now we're back to this is in a different order now. Interesting. How to Speak Victorian, Not So Hypothetical, Favorites Week, Market Share. Okay, we are. Five Ignotorians About. Okay, now we got What the Dickens Christmas special. So she does, she finds, I think, 5 Christmas stories. She's a big fan of the Walter Scott Prize. That's her prize that she does. Everyone's got a different prize on BookTube that they're into. I haven't dug into her work on that one. She works in publishing. She's an editor. But like I said, for the bio stuff, I just prefer to stay stuck on to the actual analysis. So you can look that up yourself. So we got Jane Austen, Victober, Favorites, Palliser. There you go. So there's the Palliser week. Anthony Powell is, who am I forgetting? Trollope. We got the other Trollope. So Palliser and Barsetshire. There we go. Okay, they've got Feminist Victorians. That's a fun series. I watched that ages ago. Some of these I can't remember too well. I watched them some time ago. She does some book-to-screen reviews I didn't watch. So these are great also. So 5 novels about, these aren't Victorian. So this, you can see she reads other things. I think I remembered maybe she liked Inkheart when she was a girl. But she was reading these novels when she was in her teens. She was already reading pretty much all of this stuff she read it, starting in her teens and reread in school. So we got Jane Austen, more Jane Austen, Victober, Forster, as I mentioned, book hauls. This readathon, 1900, 1950, I don't know much about. So these author spotlights are great as well. So here you can see these aren't just Victorian authors. So these are her other interests. You got Dickens, Austen, of course, but then you got people like Emily St. John Mandel, Banana Yoshimoto, John McGregor. You got Anthony Trollope, that's Victorian again, but then you got Agatha Christie, Diane Setterfield, I'm not sure. Natasha Pulley, then we got Jane Austen again. She likes Kazuo Ishiguro and Evelyn Waugh. All right. Or Evelyn Waugh, I think is how she says it. Okay, Jane Austen again, Victober again, Christmas Carol, Jane Austen again, Victober again, the Mega Dickens read-along, The Secrets of Hartwood Hall. That's her novel. So that was her first novel. She's got a second one out now. So you can find out about that. I haven't really gotten into it too much yet. I have watched a couple people review it, and they loved it. The Walter Scott Prize again, Jane Austen. You got tips for reading classic authors. So you got, Dickens, Trollope, Hardy, Austen, Gaskell. The Victorians. Walter Scott Prize again, BookTube Journey Tag. Maybe that was her 5 years there. So they got The Trouble with Miss Montgomery Hearst. Oh, no, this was her novel. Or maybe this is her second novel. Okay, this is definitely hers. This one's definitely hers. And is The Secret of Hartwood Hall, is that one hers as well? Yeah, that was her first book, my debut novel. So those are her novels, folks. The Secrets of Hartwood Hall and The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery Hearst. Give them a read. I'm sure they're good. 10 years of, now we're back to the beginning. 10 years on BookTube, Jane Austen, Walter Scott Prize Victorian author, Guide to Victorian Authors of Jane Austen. All right, so this was her last Victorian set. So she breaks it down by alphabetical, Abbott's to Bronte's, and you can see she's got 30, 40 minutes on A and B, B to D, D to G. So she goes through a lot of Victorian authors. She's extremely well read. So now, as I mentioned, I'd like to quibble with her a little bit. I think this is safe, but we'll see what happens. So she said that she was a little impatient with the early chapters of Charlotte Bronte's The Professor. Now, she has the advantage of me of having watched these, as she said, better developed in Villette. So I can't speak to that. But I can make a little defense of the early chapters of The Professor, as she has inspired me to read it for Victober, specifically to check those out. So here's what I think. I think the early chapters are essential, and I'm going to try to make a case for it. And again, I do this as an homage, a discussion with a great mind, which is books and things. So you have an odd little letter here to start it off with. He's writing to a schoolmate, and he's saying, "Oh, neither you or I were great, charismatics." The point of the letter seems to be, kind of meandering and pointless, but one of the points seems to be to make this case that they weren't over-blessed with, a charisma, which makes me think of like schoolboy connections, that sort of thing. So now we get into the meat of it, chapter 2. So this is called a Bildungsroman. So we're going to watch this young man try to launch himself in the world, and eventually he ends up going off to teach in Belgium, the professor. And then in the Villette, it's a woman who goes off to teach in Belgium. But before we get to Belgium, let's look at these early chapters. So chapter 2 is about the mother's family. This is the mother who passed away. And they very much look down on the father, who was a tradesman. And they ask him, the first thing they say are, "Do you intend to be a tradesman?" Right? Is it the Crimsworth? The Crimsworths is the family. No, I don't intend to be a tradesman. Okay, great. So they offer him basically a connection. They offer him a holding, I think, a clerical job. And of course, since this is money, and in England it's landed money, right? It comes with conditions, right? And the conditions of land is usually marriage. So you're going to marry him off to the cousin, I think it is. So you've got this whole life presented to this young man who's, I think it's the father that has passed away, right? Anyway, he's got no support, right? He's got nothing going for him. And he refuses, partly out of his own pride, partly out of his repugnancy against these people's snobbery for his father's trades, and also just the way they treat him, servilely. So that's chapter 2. He blows a big possibility, right? So now chapter 3. Now this is going to offer the other possibility, which is basically capitalism. So he's got a brother, and for some reason, I don't know why the brothers are estranged. They're not. It's shown that they're not estranged because the brother wrote to him growing up, but not often, And I'm guessing not warmly, because the way he's received by this brother, he's received as a beggar. He's like, "You need a position," and he takes him on only because the one thing he got from school that was actually useful was languages. So he's a businessman. He owns a mill, and he's going to use him to answer his foreign correspondence. And he puts him with the other clerks, lowest of the low, on a pittance salary, never gives him any regard. He's not welcome at the house, right? And even when he has to be invited to the house for an event to which clerks are normally invited, he's ignored, Not only is nothing made of him, he's like slighted. So slighted that what's his name? Mr. Hunsden, who's kind of this local landed gentry person, I think, this local power, he's so offended for this young man that he actually goes to the town hall and maligns the rich brother, the mill owner. And he's been after the mill owner anyway because he's basically a tyrant. And so he shames him. The result of which is that, of course, the mill brother says, accuses our hero. He says, what have you been, maligning my name around town? What have you been saying? Of course, he hasn't said anything. It was all Hunsden. Hunsden's I will admit this, there is this Dickensian sort of helper that shows up that kind of goes against my theory. But basically, what happens is we're shown the problems with the landed gentry, and then we're shown the problems with capitalism, that it erodes family connections, love, and human feeling. So now he's fired, of course, and luckily Hunsden sets him up with the job teaching in Belgium. But let me tell you why I think it's important for us to see him, ugly, unlanded, unmarried, fired by his own brother from the mill, despite his education. Here is what Bronte says in the preface. I said to myself that my hero should work his way through life as I had seen real living men work theirs, that he should never get a shilling he had not earned, that no sudden turn should lift him in a moment to wealth and high station, that whatever small competency he might gain should be won by the sweat of his brow, that before he should find so much of an arbor to sit down in, he should master at least half the ascent of the hill of difficulty. It's almost looks like it could be out of Pilgrim's Progress, the hill of difficulty. That he should not even marry a beautiful girl or lady of rank. As Adam's son, he should share Adam's doom and drain throughout life a mixed and moderate cup of enjoyments. Of course, as they were thrown out of the Garden of Eden, Adam has to toil for the fruit of his brow, and Eve has to suffer in childbirth, right? So why not just make the professor working class from the beginning, or I don't know, someone else with no advantages in life, let's say a woman. I think perhaps the idea was to show that even with all these advantages, you could first of all, the accident of birth, right? You could not be born with any of these advantages. And also you could lose any of these advantages, right? This is what Dickens shows, right? You have people love to go on about, have a go at Dickens for his miraculous lifting up of characters into success, but he equally miraculously casts them down, right? So you could lose all this. I mean, think about the case of the states today. For some bizarre reason, everybody wants to identify with these bazillionaires, even though pretty much, 75% of Americans are one bad illness away from pretty much poverty, destitution. So I think that was the idea, to have these initial chapters to really show that this guy, he can't get a break, because you could say from the first chapter, oh, see, it's his pride, right? It's his pride. He refuses this. So that's what this is the comeuppance of his pride. He's being punished. So that there, you're just like original fault, Shakespearean thing, right? No, because in the subsequent chapters, it's shown that he suffers everything his brother throws at him silently, never says a word, just says, yes, sir, no, sir, whatever you say, sir. So it's nothing that he could do. It's just the circumstances of his life. And then, like I said, then in rushes this Dickensian rescuer, Hansen, to send him off to Belgium. And then that's when the book begins, at which point Katie gets interested in it. But I think there is something to these early chapters, with apologies, Katie. And also, really happy to disagree on it. Not a problem at all. But no offense, offered in great respect. So there you have it, folks. I thought that I would try to combine in one video my shout out, an attempt at a first little critiquing of a big booktuber, and of course an honoring of Victober. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have an opinion about the early chapters of, and I haven't finished The Professor yet, so I can't tell you, if anything happens towards the end that reverses my feelings, but I don't think so. But if you have a feeling about that, my theory, or anything else about The Professor, let me know as well. But definitely check out Books and Things. I mean, she doesn't need your support, but, subscribe and like and comment and all that good stuff. And she does a lot. She does constant shout outs as well, holding up other booktubers and other literary booktubers and other Victorian booktubers. So if you prefer, you can find a smaller one to watch as well. But buy her books. I think that's probably what she would most appreciate in terms of support. Thank you.